In today's video, I'd like to share with you how and why I jumped into an icy river. Sounds crazy, I know. If you stick around to the end, I'll share some links onto why biologically and psychologically this can positively change your entire outlook. So how did I jump into a freezing river? My therapist and I have been talking about doing it for a while. He's kind of a fun-loving, kind of crazy guy that likes to do a lot of stuff, and I'm sort of the opposite. One of the reasons I vibe with him. We are in the cold, beautiful Michigan winter right now, and he's been talking about us jumping into a river, and I thought he was sort of crazy, but I was trying to keep an open mind to it. Sometimes we did our sessions outside, and it was a cold, snowy, 20-degree something day, snow everywhere, and we were having one of our sessions, and we decided to do it that day. So we brought extra clothes and towels, and after the session, we decided to go and do this. So we drove behind a business that was near the river that we were going to go into. We got our stuff. I kept my car running with the heat on because I had a good feeling we were going to need it afterwards. We went to the edge of the property, and the first thing I noticed, which was a little concerning, is there was a sloped downhill to get to the stream we were going to. I'll give a recommendation later, but make sure that you're on flat, easy ground if you're going to do this. And it may be obvious, but I'll tell you later why. But anyways, we went down this hill, and we got to the stream. And there was ice around the edge and snow everywhere, but the water was still flowing. So we got down to our shoes and our gym shorts because there were rocks in the river, and then we set a timer. And my therapist, his goal was to do it for 8 minutes, which sounds a little crazy, but that was his goal. I was not interested in doing 8 minutes. I just wanted to try to do this challenge and this experience for myself. So I let him wander into the water first, and I was going to join after a couple of minutes. But he went in, then got down to about his neck and shoulder level, and he started yelling like a madman. I have watched videos of this on YouTube before, maybe you have if you're interested in this, so I knew some intense breathing and noises were about to come, but definitely my therapist was yelling and screaming, sounded more joyous than anything, but I knew that some pain was in my future. Anyways, after a couple minutes, I walked up to the water and I stepped in with my shoes. Of course, it was super cold, and then got in about my ankles and my shin and got to the part of the stream where we could sit down on the rocks. It wasn't deep enough to stand, but you could sit and get it to about your shoulder and neck area. So I did that, and I'll just say, I thought it was going to be really cold, like really, really cold, and it was much worse than I thought it would be. Oh my goodness. This was an intensity that's really hard to explain. And if you've taken cold showers, you have an idea, because I've done these too. But this was different in the river, surrounded by ice and snow. The intensity was just so much more than I had ever experienced. So anyways, I got to my shoulders or neck area, and it was very, very intense. And I'll just say that it came really close to the first 30 to 45, maybe 60 seconds of coming close to kind of like a psychedelic experience. My conscious brain left the building for 30 to 60 seconds, and the intensity and the noise that came out of me, I won't say I didn't know I was capable of, but it was pretty intense. So when I got into the water and the pain and intensity went through every bit of my body, you couldn't help but to just breathe in and breathe out really deep, and I just got laser focused on being right in the moment and only felt that intensity. My therapist was yelling and joking. My brain didn't shut off, but again, I felt like I almost left this world for 30 to 40 seconds. And the noise I'll just make it here for fun. But I got in, and my brainstem, my ancestor part, whatever it was, my subconscious, all those took over. And I basically just started to do a very intensely loud breathing. So I got in, and it was basically like, ooh, 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 ooh. It was louder and more intense than I can or want to produce in this video, okay? I could not control it. It was so extreme. After about 30 to 40 seconds, I came back into my body and back into my consciousness, and it still felt so intense, so super cold, but I had my wits about me at that point. It was at this point that my therapist thought he'd crank it up a notch, and he dunked his head under the water. Big mistake. Don't do this. He was fun-loving and smiling, and as soon as he came up, he realized he did something wrong, and his tone changed, and he said, I need to get out of the water. So he immediately got out of the water and went to the shore and started trying to dry off. I got in about 2 minutes after him. He got out after 4.5 minutes. So I decided I wanted to match him, and I was going to stay in another 2 minutes. So I stayed in there, just focused on my breath, felt the pain, the tingling, the extreme sensation. And once I hit my 4.5 minutes, I got my butt up and out of that stream. Another advice is not only don't dunk your head under the water if you want to do this, don't put your hands under the water. So I did that, and really after about 4.5 minutes of extremely cold water, I could feel something was kind of going wrong. The fingertips, the fingers specifically. So if you're going to do this, which I do highly recommend, by the way, keep the head out of the water and keep your fingers or hands out of the water if you can, and you'll have a very good extreme experience, but it might not get to like a dangerous feeling level. So I got out of the water, tapped off dry a little bit, but my hands, my fingers, my legs, everything had gone so numb, I wasn't successfully going to be able to dress myself right there at the riverside. So holding our clothes and towels, we walked up this hill. And again, this is why if you have an entry to a cold stream, don't do it up a hill. That's not what you want to do, because you don't want an obstacle course when your legs and hands and everything aren't working totally proper. But we managed to get our way back up this hill, back into the parking lot, and we got into my vehicle. So I had the heat running. It was a lifesaver. Definitely recommend you have that going as well. Then the numbness started to fade away. Things started to hurt pretty badly. They did hurt pretty intensely, but that's why I'm saying keep your hands out, because the fingers started to hurt like really bad, really uncomfortably when the heat and everything hit them. So if it wasn't for the fingers, it would have been an intense feeling, but it would have been something that you could really manage as the heat went on. Anyways, we were laughing, we were happy and ecstatic that we did this difficult challenge. We said our goodbyes, and then I started to head home. I had a short ride home. The funny thing was, as I started to heat up, my jaw was chattering so hard it was funny. I kept doing a yeah, like Dr. Disrespect, because he says it really fast and I can't do it normally, but my jaw was chattering so hard and so fast I could actually do it at this point. After the ice plunge, I felt glad that I did this hard challenge, that I overcame that, and then physically from head to toe I felt like $1 million. I do highly recommend it, but I will say again, a quick recap, do it with a partner because things can go numb, and this is not like a super safe fail-proof thing. Don't put your head underwater. Don't do it. And if you can help it, keep your hands out of the water. I think you're going to be pretty good. And do somewhere where there's easy entrance and exit from the water. Don't do a little hill with an obstacle. Have the car running, and it'll be a safe but very euphoric, very exceptional experience, especially that first 30 to 40 seconds. Again, it reached psychedelic out of my mind level. That was really, really cool to experience. I'm glad I did it. But that was a fun story I wanted to share, and that's kind of it. So I said I'd let you know biologically and psychologically how this can be very helpful. I'll link below to some resources of how this biologically can actually change your body. I'll also leave a link for a book, Dopamine Nation. It lets you know how your brain chemicals react to some of these extreme situations. I'll probably make a video on both of these also later because they're very fascinating. So now that I shared my story, would you do this? Does this sound interesting? Does it sound absolutely horrible, which I can understand? Share if you've done this or something like this before and had similar results. I'd love to know. Also, if you want to talk about things like this, you can join the Sovereignty League Discord. I'm trying to build a community with like-minded people. I want to build the resource that I didn't have as I started this journey. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely join. It'd be awesome to start a conversation there. All right, thank you very much.